Look, look, I was on that front line. Man, they finna tell us. Look, I was on that front line. How they finna tell us it ain't our time? Search what you can't find. I do it for them days that we couldn't shine. I was on that front line. How they finna tell us it ain't our time? I was on that front.
Hello and welcome to Centex Primetime. We are here live in Waco, Texas at Startup Waco. I'm here, Jalen Gillis, with my co-host PJ Gaither. You got this the same group we get for Friday nights. Lights. Now we have it here in the Centex Primetime form. We're going to touch on Texas, inside Texas football today. We're going to talk about some high school football, talk about a little college football as well. PJ, we got to see a lot of good games last weekend, and we got a lot of good games slated for this weekend. Tell us a little bit about some of those games that we got to see last weekend. I know we got to see Conley take on Bahia. We got to see La Vega take on Kennedale. Yeah. Just a lot of different games. We got to see DeSoto travel all the way up to Oregon and play in the Nike Classic. We got to see a lot of different teams in this Texas area take on some really good teams as well. What are some of the games that intrigued you last week?
I would say the first one is maybe Didn't Run versus New Braunfels.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great place to start. Yeah. Maybe the upset of the week, possibly upset of the year right there with New Braunfels taking on Denton Ryan team.
And honestly, that game, man, just because going into that game, no one was thinking that Denton Ryan was going to even lose.
You know? Nobody was thinking about that.
No one was thinking about that, and it really just came down to discipline. Like, I was watching the game. I went back and I watched so many games from last Friday and last Thursday, also Saturday too. And some of the teams that lost, like Denton Ryan, Alito, certain other schools that we thought they were like, we see them as just a dominant powerhouse, and they came out and lost, and it came down to discipline for a lot of those teams.
Yep.
And I know, like, it's okay to be confident, but in a certain way, sometimes you might be cocky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got 5-star, 4-star, 3-star products, and these guys are going to LSU and Alabama and all these big schools, and sometimes it gets to your head. And when you're playing a team like New Braunfels, who I'm sure they probably have maybe like 1 to 2, maybe 2 stars.
Yeah, that's a maybe.
That's a
maybe.
maybe.
That's a maybe.
They're going against a team like Denton Ryan, who's number 1 in the state.
Yep.
They're going to either fold or they're going to stand up, and they stood up last week. So shout out to New Braunfels. I mean,
definitely shout out to New Braunfels on that one for the big upset. Like you said, when you're faced with those challenges, you're either going to stand up and really just chase that adversity and go straight up, head towards it, or you're going to fold up in that moment. And New Braunfels definitely stepped up. So shout out to New Braunfels, because nobody had them picked.
Yeah, nobody.
I can guarantee you that nobody had them picked in that game. Maybe a couple people from New Braunfels had them picked. Let's touch on some of the games from here in the Central Texas area. We definitely had the game of the week last week with Lorena versus China Spring, 2 state champions going head-to-head against each other, 2 powerhouses in the Waco area. And China Spring was able to come out victorious in that one. China Spring coming out with a 38-20 win in that game. Got some of the stats here from Jaden Porter, the Baylor committed receiver from Lorena. Had a good game definitely in that one. He had 146 yards with the touchdown to go with it. Definitely a special kid. Got the chance to see him a few times last year and getting to see him again this year. It looks like he's headed for another great year again. A good year, a good recruit there for Baylor, getting a hometown kid to be able to stay there. And China Spring looks like they just picked up where they left off from last year. Didn't lose a game last year. Took it all the way to the state championship and winning that one as well, playing a top team, now the number 5 team in 3A, but I think they were ranked higher than that. I think number 3 maybe coming into last week.
Yeah.
And China Spring able to come out victorious in that one. A lot of questions at QB they thought they were going to have from Major Bowden leaving and going to Lamar. So they had a lot of questions at QB. Well, people had questions about their QB play and how are they going to be able to keep up with that. And Cash McCollum stepped right in and pretty much took over, and it looked just kind of like how the offense looked last year. Yeah. First of all, that's a great name, Cash McCollum. That sounds like a name you would use on Madden or something like that. So that's a good name, and being able to go out there and threw for 255 and 2 touchdowns as well. So seeing them go out there and kind of picking up where they left off from, that was a really cool thing to see. Now this week they're taking on Melissa, and Lorena is actually taking on West. So another not a crosstown matchup, but not too far down the road, just a little bit down I-35. Going to separate Lorena and West. Another good matchup in 3A. Lorena coming in ranked number 5 in 3A right now, and West coming in ranked number 9 in 3A. So a huge game tomorrow, Lorena versus West. Can't wait to see that game. And, of course, the game that was premiered and featured on Centex Sports Network last week, Conley taking on the Mejia Black Cats. Conley came out victorious in that one. Huge win for them. A lot of different stats for different guys. Kiefer Sibley ran for 174 last week on 8 carries. Jalani Mcdonald had 3 total touchdowns and a pick 6. Yeah. So they had guys. You had guys like Jalen Noble step up. He had 105 yards and a touchdown to go with it. And they are going to be taking on the number 4 team in 4A, the La Vega Pirates. That is a crosstown matchup for sure. That is what everybody's looking forward to tomorrow. Most definitely that game. And it's going to be featured right here on Centex Sports Network, folks. We are so excited for this game tomorrow. 2 powerhouse teams coming in, especially La Vega being ranked as high as they are, number 4, going in and taking on Conley. Let's talk a little bit about La Vega last week as they won 34-7 against Kennedale. PJ, I know you got to see some of the highlights and things from those games. What are some of the things that you saw last week from this La Vega Pirates team?
Well, they have a special running back, Bryson Rowland. He's incredible. I believe he had like 4 touchdowns against Kennedale. 4 touchdowns,
237 yards.
Like, the guy is incredible.
Monster.
La Vega, they're physical. Like, I mean, that's just La Vega football. They're known to be very physical. That's what they do to a lot of teams that they beat throughout these years. They just pretty much out-physical the other team, you know. And, I mean, their D-line is vicious. They got linebackers who are, I mean, they just break on the ball so quick, you know. So I believe La Vega is going to be a very good team. Win or lose this week for either team, Conley or La Vega, both of these teams are going to be a problem this season.
Yeah, definitely.
For whoever that they play. So I'm just looking forward to the game tomorrow. I mean, it's going to be a very, very, fiery matchup. I mean,
we're going to see a little bit of pushing and shoving. We're going to see some trash talking. We've already seen some trash talking a little bit just on Facebook and different social medias. If you're watching right now with us on Facebook, make sure you guys like the stream, share the stream, subscribe if you're watching on CentexSportsNetwork.com. Make sure you subscribe on there. And make sure you guys go on to CentexSportsNetwork.com and get subscribed for the game tomorrow. The first quarter will be shown on Facebook, but after that, it will be pulled down, and the rest of the stream will be on the website. So that's CentexSportsNetwork.com. Once again, CentexSportsNetwork.com. The link is in our bios and all of our social media, so make sure you guys go on there and get ready and subscribe for this game tomorrow. Now, going back into a little bit what we were talking about, this La Vega and Conley matchup tomorrow. La Vega coming in number 4 in 4A. Conley coming off of a major win against Mejia last week. Like you were talking about, PJ, La Vega, the speed they have on offense and defense, starting on offense with Bryson Rowland has got to start and begin there. He was pretty much their entire offense last week. Ran for 237 yards, had 4 touchdowns. I believe they only had 5 touchdowns in the game, so 4 of those touchdowns came from him. So he's been dominant. I believe definitely he is going to be the key in the game for the La Vega side. So thinking about some of the keys in the game for both of these teams, for Conley, when you talk about the keys to the game, for them you have to be able to stop the run. It's going to stop and start with the run. They got Bryson Rowland, like we're talking about, this amazing sophomore that ran for 230 last week. You have to be able to stop the run. And not only him, but their other athletes that they have there. They have receivers. They've got Prescott at quarterback. He's good. So they've got a lot of different weapons. You have to be – but it's going to stop and start with that run. So they've got to be able to stop the run first and be able to really get them into those third down situations. You want to get them into those 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8s, and those different type of things. And then from there, you have to – on the offensive side of the ball, they have to unlock the passing game.
Have to, yeah.
We watched Jalani Mcdonald really blossom last game, and it looks like he's matured a lot over the offseason. From last year was his first year starting. He seemed like he's bulked up a little bit. The Oklahoma State commit, they got him coming in as an athlete. He's committed to Oklahoma State right now, but it looks like he's bulked up a little bit. Looks a little bit faster.
A little swole.
Yeah, looks a little, got a couple muscles on there. Looks a little bit bigger. Looks a little bit faster. But what I saw last week was more poise, just in his pocket and in his decision making. Threw a couple touchdowns in the end zone to Kobe Black, another 4-star athlete they have over there at Conley. So if they can unlock this passing game, we know they have the running game with Sibley and McDonald on the ground, as well as Nobles. But if they can get this passing game going, I think they'll be able to really unlock a lot with this offense. We saw, like we said, a couple touchdowns in the back of the end zone last week to Kobe Black. They can get a couple of those plays going, get some play action going, take a lot of the pressure and make them not be able to stack the box as much for La Vega. Then I think that will help Conley a lot. PJ, what are some of the keys that you think Conley is going to need for this huge matchup tomorrow against La Vega?
Well, starting for the defense, like you were saying, really much just stop the run.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not stop the run game like totally, but you can slow it down. So it's times, I mean, where if they run like a counter or anything like that, you know, being able to fill those gaps, you know, like if the tackle or the guard is pulling, being able to beat them before they even get to that gap, you know. So because, I mean, the running back, he's following behind him. He's just cutting off of the line. So if you got linebackers that are able to scrape and come downhill, you got safeties that are making sure they come downhill also as a help. I mean, you can stop the run, you know, and that D-line just pretty much getting pushed on that O-line. I mean, it's really not always about getting to the backfield. It's really just about standing those O-linemen up. If you can stand the O-linemen up, I mean, and the linebackers, they're coming behind, they're going to fill the gap. I mean, just stopping the run, you know. So that's the biggest thing, is to just slow the run game down, try to make La Vega beat you with their quarterback passing the ball. They have a very good passing game, I believe La Vega do.
But, Prescott, their quarterback. I
feel like I'm like most people, though. I'm not as confident with them trying to beat a team in passing the ball rather than running the ball.
Yeah, the run is their bread and butter. So they're going to want to go with the run.
They're going to want to go with the run. So if you can stop that and make them try to beat you by passing the ball, that'll be great. For the offense, this is the time to really utilize your 4-star products, you know, your 4-star, your 3-star products, your guys that got these names out here that they're committed somewhere. This is the game to show that, hey, we're really good, you know. And so really just utilizing them, I mean, just everything, just not even just from running the ball. Sibley, he's a great player. Really utilize him this week. I really feel like this whole entire season, I feel like he's going to be very special at the running game, you know. So, I mean, just everything, passing the ball, just try to mix it up. Just try to confuse them. You don't want to come out and be one-dimensional. But that's how a defense is going to be able to read you easily. You know? So they'll probably start stacking up the box, put 8 in the box if they know, they're just going to try to run through the middle. You know, you're not trying to run no sweeps, no anything like that. You know, you're not even passing the ball like that. You know, so that's when they put 8 people in the box, because they know that you're not confident in yourself that you can beat them with doing something else. So now you're one-dimensional. So really just utilize everything that you can. I mean, you guys, you've been working all off season, working all off season, tour days and everything. You know, spring ball for both teams. So.
And this is what it all comes down to. This is those big matchups that you look for. You know, these La Vega Conley, especially on the Conley side. I'm sure this is one they've had circled for a while. They haven't beat this La Vega team since 2015, so it's been a while for this Conley team. They're looking to move forward, and they're looking to do better just against La Vega. This is definitely, like we said, one of their big matchups. And to touch on a little bit what you talked about, like you said, seeing Sibley and Kobe Black, these different guys. Shout out to Kiefer Sibley, too, got his first offer the day after the game last week from Colorado. So another powerful.
We were saying that.
This is what we talked about. We talked about. I believe he's not going to be the last one, too. It's a few of these guys on this Conley team. They've already got commits, like Jalani Mcdonald committed to Oklahoma State. Shout out Jamari Wiggins, just committed to Sam Houston as well. So they've got a few different guys. And
Nobles.
Yeah, Nobles. I'll be on the lookout for another guy to be getting some offers. Nobles is special. He had some big plays last week too. So all of those guys, I'm excited to see what can they do in this game against this La Vega team. Now, talking from the La Vega side, when I was going through the notes and watching their game and just what is going to be their keys to the game, it's pretty simple. Dominate the running game. If La Vega can dominate the running game like they do against so many other teams and like they just did last week with a guy like Bryson Rowland, there's not going to be much that Conley or any team for that much to be able to do in 4A at all if they're being able to dominate the running game like we know they can. They've been doing it for so long, for over the years. They've always had this stable of running backs that can just switch in so many different guys. But now when you have a special one like Roland and just add him in with a couple of those other backs, I mean, this La Vega team can be very, very scary, especially moving forward when we get to the playoffs and getting later in the season. Excited to see what this La Vega team can be able to do. We know 4A Division I is loaded, and their conference and their district, their district is absolutely loaded with Stephenville, China Spring. They've got 2 state champs in the same district with China Spring and Stephenville, 2 teams that didn't lose a game last year. And then you have La Vega coming in as a third. That's just crazy. So I'm really excited to see what these 2 teams can do tomorrow. So that is the premier matchup. That is tomorrow, folks, at 7:30 kickoff. Pregame will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow at La Vega. Conley versus La Vega will be right here on Centex Sports Network. It'll be on Facebook, like we said, for the first quarter, and after that, it will be strictly on the website, that's CentexSportsNetwork.com. So we've got a couple other matchups around the Texas area, big matchups around this Texas area in high school football coming up tomorrow. We got to touch on a few of those local games, like we said. Now moving into some of the games outside of this Waco area, still have some huge games. We've got Aledo and Denton Guyer. We can start with that one. 2 premier teams. Aledo dropping the game last week. Not many times we've seen Aledo lose in week 1. Yeah. So a lot of teams, I know a lot of guys are panicking, and some of these chats we see on, Max Preps and on the Dave Campbell's at, some of these guys are maybe thinking that Aledo, we had Allen not perform like we thought they would last week, thinking some of these powerhouses might be going out. But Aledo is still a really good team. Yeah. They're adjusting. They moved up from 5A Division II to 5A Division I. Then taking on a team this week in Denton Guyer, who's got, I believe, the number 1 quarterback in Texas with Jackson Arnold. The USC commit, right? Oklahoma commit. So I thought about Lincoln Riley still being there, and now he's at USC. But the Oklahoma commit with Jackson Arnold, just an amazing talent, a really special talent at QB. Physical, he's got the size, he's got the arm. PJ, what do you see in this matchup, and how do you see this one kind of swaying?
Honestly, I got Denton Guyer.
Same.
They might. Aledo can possibly make the game close, but honestly, I don't see the game being close. Denton Guyer is possibly one of the most complete teams in all of Texas high school football. Those guys are really good. I have them up there with like North Shore, Austin Westlake. Honestly, right now, just watching them from week 1, that team is very complete. Jackson Arnold, he's just poised every time he steps on the field. The guy shows you that why he's up there is one of the better players in his class. The best quarterback in this class. They have Archer Manning right now as the number 1 quarterback. I'll take Jackson Arnold as the number 1 QB for that class. But like you were saying about Denton Ryan, this team is just loaded, very complete team. Taking on a team like Aledo, I think they've got a shot in that one. But I think we both going to go with Denton Guyer on that one. Moving to some of the other games, we've got Katy versus Atascocita. Huge game in the Houston area. We got humble Atascocita taking on Katy, who is a powerhouse, one of the best teams in Texas football history, honestly. This Katy team continues. They've got more good running backs, of course, like they always do. They've got another great running back down there right now at Katy. And this Katy team really just picking up where they've left off in the last couple of years. They look pretty stout. Another team I have that can challenge to win state this year. There's so many teams. Katy is one of those teams I believe can challenge to win state. PJ, how do you have this one going in the Katy versus Atascocita? I'm picking Katy. 83-2 at home since 2004. You can't really go against that. How do you see this one going? Katy Atascocita. I got Katy too. Like you said, what'd you say, 82-3?
Yeah, 82-3 since 2004 at home.
That is crazy. that most players on the field, that mean they've never seen Katy lose at home.
Yeah.
So that's insane. I have to go with Katy. Katy overall is the better team than Atascocita. Not saying that Atascocita isn't a good team. They are a team that can possibly go probably third round in the playoffs, I believe, maybe, So Atascocita is very good. But you're playing Katy at home
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough.
And, Gary Joseph, he always has that team ready.
Always.
He always had that team ready.
Always.
So.
That Katy team is almost like a pro team, like some of these other teams we talk about, like Lake Traverse and Westlake, these other teams, South Lake Carroll. These teams are almost like pro teams, at least D1 college teams for sure.
They're built for winning. That's their culture, you know. So they do a lot of things different. Like I was telling like one of my friends the other day, you know, just watching certain teams and being able to play against certain teams. Like I've played on a team where we've been the more disciplined team, and then I've played against teams where I was like, these guys aren't doing anything wrong. It's almost like they're perfect. Katy is a team like that, and when you're playing against them guys,
that's what it feels like.
It feels like they're perfect. Because they're not getting no flags thrown on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like nothing. And then it's like they're really not doing anything to get flags thrown on them. You know, so they're doing everything perfect. Even if you probably might have better athletes, they're just way more disciplined. Like, they're not going to get into situations that's going to cost their team. You know, so I got to go with Katy, man. I mean, it's only right. Katy is like a decorated, like, you know, team out here in Texas, man. When you come to high school football, really just across the country, everybody knows who Katy is. You know?
Yeah, Katy is one of those teams. When you think of Texas high school football, Katy is one of those teams that's going to pop up in your head. So we've got Katy coming out victorious in that one. We've got a lot of different matchups. One we didn't get a chance to touch on that's in this Central Texas area, the Mart versus Marlin game. I believe that's going on tonight. That game will be kicking off in about an hour from now. I believe it's 7:30 kickoff, Mart versus Marlin. Mart, another one of those teams, like you talked about, just an historic football team when you talk about Texas high school football. Mart taking on this Marlin team who had a great run last year, I believe state semifinals, all the way to the state semifinals. They had their 4-star player, Darian Gillette, tear his ACL, and I believe he then, after he tore his ACL, transferred to Teague. So they don't have him. So Marlin dropped a game last week, didn't really come out how some people expected them to. So I think I'm going to pick Mart in this one. Mart, like we said, just perennial powerhouse team in the Central Texas area. They put up amazing video game type numbers every week. So I don't expect anything less in this one. PJ, who you picking in this one?
I'm picking Mart. Mart is like how we just talking about Katy. Mart is pretty much that in 2A.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a perfect way to describe him.
Mart is sometimes, I mean, some years I've watched them and it almost seemed like they're unstoppable. You know, so I got to go with Mart on this one.
Yeah, we're going to pick Mart on that one. So we've touched on a couple of these games that are going on in this Texas area, some big games. We left a few of them out. DeSoto is going, I believe, to
St. Francis Academy.
St. Francis, yeah, that's who they're playing from the Maryland area. So another national game for the DeSoto Eagles in that one. I think DeSoto has a good chance in winning that one as well. Excited to see how they're going to come out with that one. What are some of the other big name games that are going to be going on here in the Texas area?
Well, you got Cocoa out of Florida. They're coming out here to play Duncanville.
Yep.
I got Duncanville in that one. You know, we got Houston C. King versus Allen. Houston C. King.
Big game.
Those guys, I mean, they just beat who was it, Crosby last week, I believe, 63-7. That is crazy. Like, Houston C. King, man, last year they surprised me.
They surprised a lot of people last year.
They surprised me again.
Yeah. It looks like they're doing more of the same now.
Yeah. And you got Argyle. They're going to get an introduction into 5A. Going against a very good team in Lovejoy. Lovejoy got like 3 receivers that are like Division I, literally. Like, Cal Parker is going to LSU. That guy is ridiculous.
Monster.
Lovejoy, I got to go with Lovejoy, but Lovejoy and Argyle, that's going to be a very good game. I feel like this is great for Argyle, you know, playing against a really good Lovejoy team in 5A. This just gets you used to it, you know, coming up from 4A. And then we also got Harker Heights versus Smithsonian Valley.
Yeah, Harker Heights, good team down there.
Team.
He talked about a couple of the receivers on the team a second ago. While we're talking about receivers, got to shout out the receiver at Longview that's been putting up these crazy videos. Just had to stop and give a shout out to that receiver there at Longview. He is a monster, and Longview is doing exactly what we thought they were going to be doing throughout the season. And Longview, another dangerous team going into the season as well. Keep going.
We also got West Orange Stark versus Little Cypress Mauriceville. Cypress Mauriceville is another team that really surprised a lot of people last year, going 11-3. West Orange Stark is like one of the top schools in 4A, honestly. Them, and then they also got Silsbee in their district. So
Silsbee's tough.
That's a crazy district to be in. The Cypress Mauriceville is going to be a surprising team for everyone. Once again, I feel like they're very good. Then you got Lancaster versus South Oak Cliff. This to me is like the game of the week.
Yeah, definite game of the week right there. Dallas Classic for sure.
It's gonna be packed out at that game. South Oak Cliff is very good. If you let me tell it, South Oak Cliff is probably one of the most talented teams in the state of Texas, all around. I mean, every DB is pretty much D1. Their receivers, all the receivers, they got like 4 receivers that are D1, the quarterback, running back, the D line, the O line. They are a very complete team.
Loaded.
All it comes down to with them is like when I was watching the Duncanville game last week. Their coach was being very conservative, and it kind of costed them the game, you know?
I think so too.
Because once they got into a situation where it's like 2 minutes left in the game and you're trying to go down the field and score.
Time to air it out.
Yeah, but you haven't passed the ball all game.
Yep.
I think at one point they were like the quarterback was like 9 for 19, and it really wasn't his fault. It's just because they were never able to actually just open up the passing game and get comfortable. They had been running the ball so much. And so really it just comes down to not being conservative and actually going ahead and opening up the playbook, You know that y'all are. I mean, even though they lost against Duncanville, I still say that SOC is possibly better than Duncanville.
Yeah, SOC they really showed a lot of heart to me last week in that game, taking on Duncanville, because Duncanville is like we know they're premier 6A top 6A school. Not only is SOC a 5A school, but they're an inner city school. You know how hard it is for some of these inner city schools to be able to get and to be able to keep their talent. They have all the talent, but the inner city schools always have this problem in all the cities, in Houston, in Dallas, Austin, everywhere, to keep the talent there. So a great job is SOC to be able to keep that talent that they have right there in South Oak Cliff to be able to. So taking on that Duncanville team, and they came out with the loss, but there's a reason that Dave Campbell's kept them in number 1 even after a loss, because they showed a lot of heart in that loss to Duncanville. You're taking on, like we said, one of the top teams in the nation, and you barely lose by just a few scores. So I think this SOC team is going to be dangerous in 5A. My pick right now to repeat in that classification for sure.
Yeah. And I think also what's one more game?
I believe they had so we already talked about Lorena taking on West as well too. Yeah. Lorena and West, that's going to be a big one. Like we said, Lorena ranked number 5 in 3A, and West is going to be ranked number 9 in 3A. So a huge matchup. Like we said, that's just kind of down the street from each other.
We got North Shore versus Spring.
Yes, that's the game. That's another huge one. North Shore versus Spring. This is gonna determine a lot for North Shore. Not saying that this is gonna be all the marbles here, but Spring, we know Spring is always gonna come with a good product. They're gonna put a good product on the field. So North Shore getting a test this week. They just completely demolished their opponents last week. They looked great, honestly. This North Shore team looks great. There's so many teams that are going to be competing for that top spot when it comes to 6A. You've got teams 6A, like North Shore, Westlake, DeSoto. Yeah. These are all teams that Duncanville that can compete for that championship.
Even
Katy, Rockwall, another team that we didn't get to touch
really
on, but Rockwall is a great team as well. They showed it last week once again. So there's so many teams in this top 6A. Before we stop with the Texas football, we want to try to pick out in 6A, if you had to come up with the final 4 for your final 4 teams that you think will be left in the college football or in the Texas football playoffs for 6A. I'll start with mine first. If I had to pick 4 teams to be able to that I think are going to be left in the end, I'm going to probably go with Westlake for sure. I think Westlake has a really good chance to be able to win this year. Yeah. I really like Katy as well. Katy has a good team. Who do we say? North Shore.
North Shore, yeah.
Katy, Westlake. And for the 4th one, I think I might go with South Lake Carroll. South Lake Carroll looks good too, as usual. South Lake Carroll, another one of those perennial powerhouses in the Texas area. So I think I like those 4 teams for who I think will probably be left there in the end. PJ, if you had to pick 4, it's hard here at the beginning of the season to try to pick those 4. But if you had to pick 4 teams to be able to that you think will be left there in the final part there for the Texas playoffs, who do you think will be left there for 6A?
I got to go with Austin, Westlake, and North Shore. Those 2 teams for sure are going to be in the last 4. if they aren't, I'll be very surprised. My next two, I would maybe say, I gotta go on a limb and say Houston C.D. King.
C.D. King, I like it. I like that a
I
lot.
like them.
You know, there's always going to be one upset team that gets in there. C.D. King has got a lot of potential.
A lot of potential.
A lot of potential.
I would say one more team in 6A. It's tough. That's tough.
So many to choose for. Didn't even get to talk about Denton Geyer, another one that you could throw in there.
I got to go with Denton Geyer.
Yeah.
I got to go with Denton Geyer.
I might have to adjust mine and say, because Denton Geyer, I think, has a chance to really be special this year just because of their quarterback is so nice. And we know it really all comes down to quarterback play in the end. And I believe they have the best quarterback in Texas. So it's going to be really hard for anybody to get them out of the playoffs. And that one, if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you guys like the stream, share the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe on our website as well. Like we said, the game tomorrow will be shown on CentexSportsNetwork.com. It will be featured on there after the first quarter. The first quarter will be on Facebook as well, but after that, the rest of the game will be on CentexSportsNetwork.com. So, PJ, we're getting ready to get out of here. Before we go, I want to touch just a little bit on some college football. It is college football kickoff weekend as well, folks. Great sports weekend, honestly, going on here with a lot of good games in Texas football, Texas high school football, some great games for college football coming up. We've got UNT versus SMU this weekend. Good game in that one, a game that could really go either way. I think good quarterback play from both sides. Austin Ani did good for UNT last week against UTEP. He threw for 236 and 3 touchdowns. And SMU has got Tanner Mordecai, Waco product, Central Texas product. He went to Midway High School. He'll be starting for SMU at QB. I believe has a chance to put up a record type year this year at SMU. Really talented quarterback. He put up some huge numbers last year, caught a lot of eyes, and I think this year he's going to do the same in that one. So I'm going to pick SMU in that one. They've got a lot of talent that they've been kind of getting from different places over the years, like a Tanner Mordecai, guys they've got in the transfer portal. So I'm excited to see how that one goes. SMU, I think SMU will have that one. What do you think about that UNT SMU preview?
I would say SMU. SMU has a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be utilized very well this season.
Yeah, so SMU in that one. We've got Baylor versus Albany this week. Baylor Bears coming off a Big 12 championship. We know, obviously, Baylor is heavily favored in this one, but I'm just excited to see some of the skill position players get out of there and really see those guys kind of get loose. We've got to see them in the spring game and different things, but excited to see this running back room. I think they've got a lot of talent there. Excited to see some of these wideouts as well, and I'm excited to see Blake Shapen get a chance to play and get a chance to command this offense. We know what the defense will be. I believe the defense will be the staple. Dave Aranda's always going to have a good defense, and I believe the defense will be what kind of holds this team together. Excited to see what the offense is going to do. PJ, what are some of the things you want to see from Baylor this week and just throughout the season, really?
Honestly, this week, I'm looking forward to seeing Blake Shapen get out there again. Honestly, he was my pick to be the starting quarterback, so he's very good. He shows a lot of maturity. You know what I mean? So I like Blake Shapen. Also, just really looking at the DBs. I really want to watch the DBs and just see how good they're going to be. I believe they're going to be very good. I feel like they're probably going to be better than last year's DBs.
They've got the chance to, definitely.
And then the skill position players on offense, the receivers. I'm really going to be ready to see the receivers. The running back group is loaded. A lot of people don't know that, but they're loaded at running back. So I don't really believe that there's going to be a problem like a lot of people have been thinking that they will be. But they're going to be very good. I'm just really looking forward this season just to see Baylor just take it up even more and not, So I trust Dave Aranda. I mean, I've seen what this guy has done throughout the years. I mean, even when he's at LSU, he's always going to make sure if there's not something that he's not going to make sure, he's going to make sure it's going to be good, it's always going to be the defense.
Yep.
So, I mean, right now you notice, our defensive line is maybe the best defensive line in all of college football. The linebacker group is great.
Yeah, the defensive line is going to be – the front seven just in general is going to be scary.
Yeah.
And I believe that's a reason why I'll have them picked as Big 12 champs again. I believe that defense is going to be pretty special, especially that front seven, like we got a chance to talk about a little bit. A couple more games here going on for a few of the teams here in Texas. Texas will be taking on University of Monroe. Texas heavily favored in that one. What are some of the things you kind of want to see from this Texas team? It's kind of the same as Baylor as far as wanting to see what is going to be on offense. We kind of know their defense, what the defense can be. They always got a lot of 5-star, 4-star commits on the defense, so the defense is always going to have potential. But I'm really excited to see what this offense can look like for Texas, honestly, with Quinn Ewers there taking over the helm, the QB. What are some of the things you expect to see from Texas?
With Texas, honestly, I mean, you're hyped. You got a lot of hype behind you.
Yeah.
So
you're already fighting against that.
You're already fighting against that. So don't go out there and make this really a close game. Like, it's University of Louisiana Monroe. Like,
this should be a blowout for sure.
Yeah, you should go out there and really just dominate overall. I mean, on both sides of the ball, on special teams, everything. So really go out there and do that, because if you don't and you make it a close game, you're going to have a lot of critics that's already saying, oh, they're just hyped up, and, you know, they're not going to be that good. They're Texas still.
Yep.
I mean, you know, so you're going to hear that if you go out there and it be a close game. So really just go out there and show them that you're the better team and just dominate, you know, for Texas.
That's what we want to see from Texas, really just domination in that. And before we're getting ready to close here, folks, want to thank everybody that was watching with us so far. We want to get on this last topic here. The Big 12 standings. How do you see the Big 12 shaking out? There's been a lot of controversy from just a lot of different people picking these teams. We've seen Oklahoma be picked as a winner. We've seen Texas be picked as a winner. We've seen Oklahoma State be picked as a winner. Some people have Baylor. We saw Desmond Howard get on ESPN this morning and pick Baylor as a team to go to the Final Four and be in that Final Four teams for the college football playoffs. So we've got so many different people picking the Big 12, and it's really wide open. I've got Baylor as my repeating as Big 12 champs. Obviously a little bit of bias there. I'm a Baylor fan. But I think this Baylor team really has a good chance to be able to come in and repeat as Big 12 champs. I got Oklahoma coming in at number 2, and then I got Oklahoma State at number 3, and that's what I think my top 3 are going to be in the Big 12. Oklahoma, a lot of people are picking them to win. Still have some question marks I got to see from Oklahoma on how they're going to recoup from losing so many recruits when Lincoln Riley left to USC. So I'm ready to see how they're going to rebound from that. But I still think they're going to have enough talent to be able to come in. They got Dylan Gabriel coming in to play QB from UCF. So a talented guy to come in to play. But we still got a lot of question marks that got to be answered. I had them number 2. Oklahoma State at number 3. Oklahoma State, a very talented team. Not really much to take away from them because they didn't lose much in the draft. They lost Malcolm Rodriguez in the draft and a couple other guys. But this team still has Spencer Sanders coming back at QB. They still got a lot of those guys on the defensive side. They still got athletes on the offensive side as well. So Oklahoma State, I got them rounding up my top 3 in the Big 12. How do you think the Big 12 is going to shake out, PJ? And if you had to give your top 3 for the finish of the Big 12, what would it be?
I'm going to say Baylor. I feel like they're going to be repeating champs. So I got Baylor at number 1. Then I got Oklahoma State at number 2.
Okay.
And I
Not
got
mad
Oklahoma
at that at all.
At number 3.
Not
The
mad at
reason
that.
why I got Oklahoma State at number 2 is just because, like you were saying, they got a lot of guys that are returning.
Yeah.
You know, and they
a
got
lot of
Spencer
guys.
Sanders at quarterback still. They defense is going to be just as good as Baylor's defense. You know? So I got them in them really with just Oklahoma. I'm not sure yet. It's a lot of question marks.
A lot of question marks.
You know, like
New coach, new system.
New system that you got to go through.
New players.
You know, yeah, and then also their head coach, this is his first time actually being a head coach.
Yeah. Yep.
So that comes with a lot, you know. So
A whole lot.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I got them at number 3. They're going to be a very good team in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
They're always a good team in the Big 12. I mean, they were last year also.
Yeah.
But I got Baylor winning. It might be a little bit biased, but honestly, we're truthful people. So like, if Baylor wasn't good enough, we wouldn't put them at number 1.
Yeah.
You know? So we really believe that Baylor is a very good team.
I think they got a chance to go ahead and repeat. And for all the people that are going to ask us, what about Texas? We left Texas out of the top 3. They've got all these guys coming back. They've got Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
They got Quinn Ewers. I have them at number 4, just right outside of the 3. But the reason why I wouldn't put them at 3 is just, one, because of Quinn Ewers coming in. He is a great quarterback, but we got to see how they're going to flow with each other. I do like their offense with him and Bijan Robinson is a monster as well, a running back.
Xavier Worthy at receiver.
And Xavier Worthy at receiver. So they've got the building blocks. I just don't know if they'll be able to put it all together this year. They will be a scary team, I know, in the future with some of these big recruits like you've got coming in and the guys that they have there being able to, because Xavier Worthy is young. Quinn Ewers, this will be his first year starting. I think this will be maybe either his freshman or sophomore year. I'm not sure how that's going to work with him transferring and as far as his eligibility. He'll be gone after 2 years anyway, so I really don't think that part matters. But seeing all those guys, how they mesh together, so that's my reason for why I would put them at number 4 and not put them in that top 3. So what would you say to the Texas fans? They're going to say, why? Because they've got a lot of people got Texas winning the Big 12. I think that's a very big stretch. I don't think they're better than any of the 3 teams we just named. But for those people that would say that, why would you say you left them off for the top 3?
I left them off the top 3. I mean, I got them at number 4 too.
Yeah.
Number 4 isn't bad.
Yeah, we're not saying they're going to be bad.
Yeah, we got you at number 4. That ain't bad. But Texas right now, like I said, it's a lot of things that they got to put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like that just one off season is going to be enough time for them to put all of that together to be able to come out as the number 1 team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, we got to remember that he didn't play a down really at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So he hasn't played since he's been in high school, you know. So we really got to see how he's going to react to really just playing college football. I'm not saying that he's not going to be good, but that's still kind of like a learning, like shell shocking, a little learning, you know.
Yeah, still got a learning curve. He's got to be able to get in there.
Yeah.
And getting in the game is going to be completely different, especially when you're in those environments like playing Oklahoma, playing a Baylor, Oklahoma State, going to Stillwater. You know, especially when it's cold outside. Some of these environments
Morgantown.
going all the way to Morgantown or West Virginia to have to play. So it's different. They've got Big 12's got some matchups that we're looking forward to.
And the biggest thing I would say about Texas too is the O-line.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions with the O-line. The O-line was arguably one of the worst O-lines last year.
Yes.
And me watching the spring game, I don't really feel like that they addressed that problem as much as they really were supposed to. So we're going to see really just this week, really next week when they have to go play Alabama. We're going to really see how good this O-line is or if they even really address the problem.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I didn't put them in the top 3 is because they still got certain things that they need to address. Not saying that any other team doesn't need it because right now, like I've been saying, the Big 12 is like it's the year of of everything just being new. You know, everyone's having new, like somewhere on the team, you know.
Yeah.
So that's really why I didn't put them at number 4. But number 4 isn't bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Just not going to be top 3. You still get the bowl game and all that, but as of right now, can't put Texas. And they could prove us wrong. Yeah. They could definitely prove us wrong, but right now can't put Texas in that top 3 for the Big 12. So we've got Baylor winning the Big 12. So, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody that watched with us today. Like we said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well. We've got a lot of things coming on there. You'll see some cuts from this show and some other shows we have coming, as well as some replay plays from these games that'll be featured on Centex Sports Network tomorrow. Folks, make sure you guys tune in to 7 o'clock for pregame. Conley taking on the Vega. That is the game of the week. Centex Sports Network will be there. Free subscription. It is free to subscribe. Just go on the website, put in a little bit of information, and you'll be subscribed and all ready to go for the game tomorrow. Also on Saturday, we will have youth football once again. Had a lot of people watching with us last time. I want to thank everybody that watched with us last time and get ready. This weekend will be homecoming for the Southern Panthers. So got some big things lined up for that game as well. So we are looking forward to see you guys tomorrow. I want to thank everybody once again that watched with us. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Hit the like button if you guys are watching with us on Facebook. And we will see you guys tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the pregame start before the Conley-La Vega game. This has been Jalen Gillis and PJ Gaither. Centex Primetime. We'll see you guys next time.
I was on that front line. Look. I was on that front line. Look, I was on that front line. How they finna tell us it ain't our time? Search what you can't find. I do it for them days that we couldn't shine. I was on that front line. How they finna tell us it ain't our time?